Children, we go ahead with the chapter and we come to the topic industrial society and social change. So children, in this topic, what are we going to learn? We're going to learn about the features of industrialization, the problems of industrialization, the gap between the rich and the poor due to capitalism, and the solutions to the problems of the workers. Children, industrialization had started in Europe in the 18th century and it spread to all over Europe. Now, what is industrialization? Children, you know the difference between handmade goods and machine-made goods? Yes, before the machines came up, goods were made by hand and in homes. Okay, but when the machines started making these goods, they were produced in large numbers, and once they led into this, then we see that a new concept came up, that was industrialization, and production of goods shifted from home to factories. And in Europe, we see a lot of political change. We have seen how the monarchy was abolished and now the government became a republic. And this led to great changes in the social and economic spheres. Okay, so first change that was brought about after the French Revolution, we see industrialization. Now things were being made by machines, and that when they are made by machines, production is more. So now children, with the industrializations, factories started coming up, and let us see what were the features. We see lots of factories and industries coming up where things were made by machines and they were produced in huge quantities. And with the industrialization, new cities and new industrial regions started developing, and now people from the rural areas started migrating to these cities in search of new jobs and good opportunities and higher income wages. And then we see also expanding of railways expanded, so that led to the improvement of transport and communication, so people could easily migrate from the rural to the urban areas. Okay, so these were the main features of industrialization. But however, with these features that are coming up, that led to a huge problem also. In the industries, working hours was more than the average time. So if we say our average time is 6 to 8 hours, in the factories were made to work for 12 hours. And even children, women were employed in it. Okay, they got very less salary and wages as compared to the hard work that they did. Okay, and at times when there was no demand for industrial good, like factory making umbrellas during the winters, they don't have any demand, so that led to unemployment during those times, and people lost their jobs. So that was another problem. And since many people were migrating from rural to urban areas to the cities, that led to a huge problem of housing. The shortage of housing and sanitation was a big problem with the coming of industrialization. So you can see here how crowded the cities are, how untidy they are. Yes, and living in cramped places. So that led to the problem of industrialization. Children, with the coming of industrialization, we see a huge gap between the rich and the poor. And you see all industries were in the hands of individuals or private properties. Okay, so we see a comparison between rich people and poor people. Who were the rich people? They were owners of the factory, whereas the poor people, who were the workers who worked in the factory. The rich people owned, and all the goods that were produced they had the rights to them. But the poor people had no right over the goods, and whatever profit was generated was only kept by the rich people, and a very little share of profit was distributed among the poor. So in this thing, what happened? The gap started increasing, so the rich became richer and the poor became poorer. Children, looking into the problems of industrialization, the radicals and liberals wanted a change. Now these radicals and liberals, most of them were property owners or used to employ a lot of labor, and they felt that this change is necessary, and they must do something for the workers and find a solution for it. So let us see what were the solutions they were thinking of. They thought that whatever the hard work that the worker was doing in the factory, he should be paid accordingly. So equal wage for the hours that he puts in the factory. And they also believed that the laborer or the workers in the factory must be healthy. So if a worker is healthy, he can give more production to the factory. So they will be better. They should get better housing facilities, better sanitation. So that will lead to greater production in the factory, which they will earn huge profits also. They also believe that if the workers are educated, they can contribute more to the factory, and they must be educated about their rights. Okay, what are their rights? Rights that they must get minimum, they should be allowed to work only for certain hours in the day, and they must get proper salary to switch it. Unless they're educated, they won't know what is right for them. So they must, and certain freedom should be given to them. Now you must be wondering, if all this the liberals and radicals thought of, why didn't they bring about a change? Because at that time they were working under the monarchy, and they could not bring about this change. They could only bring about a change when there was an end to monarchy. Now you must be wondering that after the French Revolution, monarchy was abolished and republicans came in. And but later on, we see from 1804 to 1815, it was ruled by Napoleon Bonaparte, who was a dictator. And after he was deposed, or after he lost, then again the monarchy came up in Europe. So we see monarchy after Napoleon Bonaparte again came up as a form of government. That means the kings and the queens started ruling. So now they had to fight for their rights. So these liberals and radicals now wanted a country where the citizens would be equal and will have equal rights. Everyone will be, as we have learned in our civics, rule of law. Everyone should be considered equal. Okay. So, children, the liberals and radicals now wanted a change, and they disliked the privileges which were given to the monarchy, which they enjoyed by birth. So, anyone born in the royal family had got all the privileges. They believed that the greater value or greater share of the profit should go to the workers who did hard work in the factories. Okay, and they wanted a country where all citizens would be equal and have equal rights. Now you will ask me, what prevented them from doing so? They were prevented from bringing about this change. The liberals and radicals were unable to bring this change because they had to work under the monarchy. That means the kings and the queens. So this change could not be brought about. So now they floated this idea to the people, and the laborers, the workers, and the men and women like these ideas, and they believe that unless they overthrow the monarchy, this change is not going to come. And so we see revolutionary activities in France, Germany, Italy, and Russia coming up, where they wanted to do away with the monarchy. Now you will ask me a question. Already in the French Revolution, we have learned that monarchy was established and republican form of government came in. But remember that phase between 1804 to 1815. It was ruled by Napoleon Bonaparte, who was a dictator. And after he lost, again the monarchy form of government came in Europe. That means again it was ruled by the kings and the queens. Okay, so now again after their rule, now the people started thinking that it is time that the common people should get more benefits, should get equal rights. Okay, and that's where revolutionary activities started all over Europe. You can see the map in France, Italy, Germany, Russia. They all gathered to overthrow the monarchy, and these ideas also was promoted by an Italian nationalist called Giuseppe Mazzini, and he promoted these ideas that equal rights should be given to all and everyone should be considered equal, and these ideas became popular all over Europe. So now we see, with these ideas being promoted, we see a change in the society, and we see a change in the, now a new concept was coming up, which was called as socialism. children, let us recap whatever we have learned. We see a political change. We see that now monarchy was established in Europe after 1815, as I told you. We see in the French Revolution where the monarchy was abolished and the government was established, a republican form or democratic form of government was established. But from 1804 to 1815 in France, it was taken up by Napoleon Bonaparte, who was a dictator. And after his fall, again the government went into the hands of the monarchy, that is the king or the queens. Now with this change in Europe, a new concept came up called industrialization and brought changes in the economic and social sphere also. Now what is industrialization? Industrialization is when all the things are made by machines. So now with the birth of this concept of industrialization, production shifted from home, where earlier things were made by hand at home. Now it was shifted to factories where goods were made in bulk, in huge quantities, okay, in lesser time. Now with the coming of industrialization, things started changing. Now what started changing? Factories and industries came up, cities started developing, and people started migrating from the rural areas to the urban areas. Why did they migrate? Because they thought they'll get better facilities, better jobs, better opportunities, more income, okay. And with the development of cities led to good transport and communication, railways came up. So we see a huge change coming up in the working of people and mindset. Now with the industrialization, although it was a good and the economic change was happening, people were now earning more money, but it brought in a lot of other problems. Now what were the other problems? Working hours became more. The usual average working hours would be 6 to 8 hours. Now they had to work for 12 hours. Women, children, men were employed in these factories. And with the problem of jobs, since many were coming into the cities, that led to the problem of housing and sanitation also. Okay. And with this we see a gap between the rich and the poor increased. Now the owners of the factories were in the hands of individuals who only wanted profit from the factories and did not give the workers the share of the profit. So the gap between the rich and the poor started growing. So the rich became richer and the poor became poorer. Now there were certain liberals and radicals who wanted a change. They were some of them were also owners of industries, and they looked into these problems and wanted a change. Okay, and they felt that the workers must be given better wages, must be given proper housing and sanitation. They must be kept healthy because healthy workers will lead to more production in the factories. They wanted to educate them so that they know about their rights and create a society which where everyone will be equal. They wanted a country where all would be equal and have equal rights. But you will ask me now why the radicals and the liberals could not bring about a change. They could not bring about a change because they were working under the monarchy or aristocracy, we say. Okay, and they could not bring about this change. So now they started floating these ideas, and these ideas and they started quoting these ideas. They said we don't like these, that all the privileges should go only to the royal family just because they are born in that family by birth, or they believe that the greatest share of profit should go to the people who do hard work and bring about the profit to the individual, to these people. The royal family takes away the entire share. Why it should happen? Everyone should get equal rights and equal uh, equality in the country. So many these workers and laborers like these ideas, and they too now wanted to do away with the monarchy, and that led to revolutions in all over Europe, in France, Italy, Germany, Russia. And one important Italian person called Giuseppe Mazzini, he promoted these ideas, and that we see led to a new concept coming up called socialism.